Hello and welcome back to the Client Code podcast. My name is Carol Cavale and I'm so excited that you are here with us today. As always, you are in for a treat. Today's little treat has to do with bettering yourself. And you're probably like, Carol, but we better ourselves all the time. I'm like, no, I'm going to show you how to level up with my guest. And let me just tell you some inside information. This conversation is going to be a game changer. You know why? Because good things come to those who wait. And Vicki and I have been trying to make this interview work for the longest time. So let me tell you, when I tell you that this is going to be a good episode, this is going to be a good episode. Okay. Hope you are excited. Go get a coffee, go get your things. It's going to be a good one. Hello, Vicki, and welcome to the Client Code podcast. Yay!
Hey, Carol. My bundle of energy in the morning.
Oh my gosh, I really am so excited to have you here. I know our listeners are going to have a great time with you and me today. Finally. Yes, finally. I'm so excited. So let's dive right in. Vicki, tell the people listening, because I wanted to keep it mysterious since I didn't do a great job telling them exactly what it is you do, because I want you to tell them, what is your unique client code?
Well, Carol, when I started out, the whole client code thing, the thing that's unique about me was more so just that I help people be more engaging, more riveting as a speaker. But as I got older, and I'm 67, approaching 68 in 2 weeks, I realized that there are things that keep us from doing what we want to do because how we look, how we feel, how we act. And so we say no to things that could have been the best thing ever for us, but we were afraid, we were thinking we were not, whatever, you fill in the blank. So uniquely about what I do is, as I said, I teach public speaking. I teach leadership in the 21st century, how to be that leader that leads with your heart, your head, your hands. But I also, when I turned 60, joined a group for anti-aging and wellness because I wanted to be that Oma or grandma that chases after my kids, grandkids, and I wanted to be able to not hate to walk by a mirror because of the way I looked. So it's important as we are leaders, as we are speakers, trainers, you have to feel good inside and out. And the thing is, when you feel good inside, you look good on the outside. It always just works all together. So whenever I talk about the essentials of being a great speaker, being engaging, it's how do you feel about yourself? Because if I come on stage and I feel like crap, it's going to be reflected in how I present myself. And especially in this age of AI, where we can get the best words, the best content, but how you deliver it, oh my God, that's the game changer. And so people out there think, well, I'm not making an impact. I'm not changing anything. I have the best product. I have the best service, but it's not engaging people. It's not resonating with them. What can I do? And you need to just practice being riveting. The delivery is so much more about how you say it than sometimes what you say. What you say is what's the stickiness, but how you say it brings them in, captures them, hooks them, just like that song that you can't get out of your head because of that hook.
Earworm.
It's the same thing.
I love that. So first of all, that is amazing. I think we live in a time, as you said, in the 21st century where our attention span is so small. And we've really got to captivate our audience and grab them, or else they're going to scroll on by. You can be the best at whatever it is that you do, but if you cannot stop the scroll, I don't care what platform you're on, people are just going to keep going. And even though you want to be of service, even though you want to help, how can you help when they won't stop? So I love that today we get an opportunity to improve on something that I think is very much overlooked, which is how we show up online. What would you say, Vicki, is something simple that someone listening could put into practice right now to improve how they show up, let's say, on video for speaking?
Well, one of the things that I give away to any of my guests, as well as when I go on summits and things, is just this little checklist of 5 essential on camera essentials. And so the first thing is, I interviewed someone years ago, and they were a gorgeous black man who wore a black shirt. And he was in a room that I swear to God, the lights were out. And so you could barely see this person who had a story, Carol. It was so impactful about his life. And you wanted to just lean in and listen, but you were distracted because you couldn't see him. So the first thing is check your lighting. My gosh, don't put yourself in the dark. And we, ladies and men who have a little advanced stage, remember that overhead lighting gives you circles. So make sure your lighting is coming in front of you. If you say, well, I'll sit in with a window behind me, well, then now that's shadowing you. So think of those of you who have ever done any kind of photography, what happens whenever you position yourself before or behind this, in front of or behind the sun. So think of your lighting. The second thing that might take or disengage us is your sound. In the beginning, you said, well, let me turn off some things. So bandwidth, depending on what part of the world you live in, may not be great. So if you're doing an online interview, make sure everything's turned off except the interview link that you have, so you have the best sound. Well, you may have enough bandwidth, but maybe all you're using are earbuds or a wired effect. Let me just show you that. So you have one of these things, and the sound may or may not be great. Just like with a microphone, if you turn from side to side, if you don't have a great microphone, as soon as you turn away from it, you may not capture the sound. So you need to
Mm.
understand how to use a microphone in person or online. So get a great microphone, and you don't have to spend tons and tons of money. The Samsung that I have is like $180, not a lot in the US. The second thing is, you want to make sure that you can hear them. So, as I said, I use earbuds. And the reason I switch from my computer or the corded, is that I like to stand a lot of times when I am online. It gives me more energy.
Mm.
It makes me feel more engaged. I can move around in my space. And so, if you're not tethered to something and you have a good quality earbud, then you can do that so easily. But I have had so many times where people will rely on their computer and they sound so far away. Then again, how you say it. If you can't be heard, you can't be impactful. So you want to make sure of that.
Mm.
And then how do I look at you? You know, you and I just have such a great connection. But if I
Yeah.
would be looking off to the side, then all of a sudden I disengaged you. You think, well, what is she looking at? What is she? And so you want to stay engaged. And a secret that I give to people is they'll say, well, Vicki, I can't look at the camera. It's weird. Well, I say, then put a picture
Yeah.
of a puppy or your kid or somebody that makes you smile a lot, because smiling on camera is also infectious. It's so engaging for the audience. So get in the habit, and all of this is just a habit of looking directly at the camera, talking to the camera, and knowing that what you display is oftentimes received and returned to you, thus making it more engaging. And the final thing
Oh,
is, anytime we do anything, you have to have the fun. You have to have that engagement. You have to make them feel your power, your passion, make them want to just be with you. I often say it's just making them forget that they're online. During COVID, that taught me this. I used to just do coffee talks with people that were shut in, friends, family, and whatnot, and just taught them, just forget about the camera. Just act like we're sitting across the table, having
mm.
coffee, just telling
Yeah.
stories. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel unnatural. It just feels comfortable. And you and I know that we have met friends and made friends from people around the world just from a little online conversation. How great is this gift that we got from the technology we have today? So those are my
It's
5
honestly
things.
brilliant.
So check your lighting, check your sound, check your camera, check your device. Oh, I didn't really stress camera too much. The camera that I use is on a stand that was like
Mm.
$19 on Amazon. And it's a camera that can be turned, to be going different ways so you can get positioned center wise. And then the quality of it is great. A lot of laptops have really good camera, but you tend to be looking down at your camera. So if you don't have a camera that's external that you can move and position, then what you want to do is raise your laptop on a book, box, whatever, so that it is eye level. So you want to be like your eyes on the first third, your mouth the second third, and then your torso the third, so that you are positioned that if you do want to engage with your hands and gesture, it can be seen, it can be felt. And again, you're not distracting because you're too far to the side or too close. Oh gosh, don't ever be too close, y'all. Like this is not a good look. So the best thing, and people feel we're really odd, but my microphone, I can move. The further back that and relaxed you become, the more natural it feels. So again, if you
Mm.
want to stand or if you want to sit, but do so that that upper torso is there, you're still positioned well. And again, people forget that you're on camera.
I love that. I think like these were some of the most practical like ways of doing things that we've had on the podcast in a while. So, Vicky, honestly, thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it. One thing that you spoke about, which I wanted to segment into, is how we meet people having these
Yes.
conversations and getting so comfortable with each other. How important would you say networking is today?
I think networking has always been very important. But I think if we go back to what I said about the gift of COVID, and I know a lot of people don't think of it that way, but it really yeah, it really was because we were in this world where you had to network, and I'm sure you went to those network meetings. Nothing against all the network meetings that I've gone to in all my life, where you got into a room, and in some cases, the one group that I was in, I could only talk about my anti-aging business if there was no one else talking about it, or I could only talk about my involvement with Toastmasters if nobody else was talking about public speaking. And so, and then when you got up there, you had maybe 5 minutes to tell everything about
Yes.
yourself. And granted,
Yeah.
you should know, you should be able to give your spiel, what I just gave to you, in 1 minute or less, because in a lot of
Mm.
networking meetings, that's all you have. So that's why it's so important that right from the start, you grab that audience, you give them what they need to know. And that is, what problem do you solve? First thing, don't care about your background, don't care about your credentials. What problem do you solve? So get them thinking like, oh my God, I have that problem. I cannot get in front of the camera because I sweat. I hate it. Or I never have had anybody ever tell me what I'm doing wrong in front of the camera or in front of an audience. So how important is the feedback that I give you from our practice sessions? Well, now you have them engaged. Now you have them maybe. So again, whenever
Mm.
we think about networking, the gift we got was podcast. This is where I make the best connections because I have 30 minutes for you to tell me everything you can about yourself, to laugh with me, to engage with me, to make the audience feel like they know both of us. And that's
Yeah.
so impactful. The other thing is, when you do go to those other network sessions, you are so practiced at telling what you do, who you do it, why you do it, that it's easy to just capsulize that into the 1 minute or 30 seconds or whatever it has to be. But then whenever you go and get invited onto the larger stage, you know that you can do it because you're now comfortable on camera, using a microphone, being able to be engaging no matter where you are, because it's not what you say as much as how you say it.
How you say it. Gosh. Yeah, no, that's a great one. I feel like that will tie into kind of one of more questions that I have. All of this sounds well and dandy. Everything you've told us, I think anyone listening is nodding along. They're like, yes, 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 this sounds great. But there's always, I think, hidden fear that stops
Mhm.
us from really
Yeah.
taking action. And, as you said in the beginning, insert the blank what your fear might be. But
Mhm.
how do we overcome that? Or what's one way that you encourage the people you work with to tackle that?
Another keynote that I do is that it's just a conversation. And you've said that several times, that we're having this conversation. And it really, even when I work with the youth, it's when I first get them to understand, and you understand it by actually seeing that you delivered, whether it's a 3 minute, 2 minute speech or introduce themselves. I mean, people sometimes are in this situation terrified of just talking at all, introducing themselves. So when you just present it that it is just a conversation, a pitch, a long talk, a presentation with PowerPoint, if you forget about delivering it as this uber intelligent, and no offense to people, but you have to, as one of my great mentors said, deliver your talks at sort of a fifth grade level, because
Mm,
everybody in your audience isn't the subject matter expert. Everyone isn't college educated. Everyone isn't, you figure it out. And you want to make sure that you can engage everyone that needs to hear your message. So whenever you start to forget about that, a joke that I always tell people is that when you went on your first date with that person you didn't know, that you really wanted to impress, did you bring PowerPoint? Did you make bullet points on a little card that you could refer to or on your wrist so you could tell them about yourself? Did you have
no.
to, have someone there to speak for you because you were too afraid to tell them your story? No, no, you went there, you stumbled through, you made mistakes, you laughed about it with them, or, maybe that wasn't the right person and it was good that you just could be able to wrap it up, end it, and get the heck out of there. But I think once you realize that and you practice, and that's a lot of what I do as a coach is you come and tell me what you have to speak about, and then we work on it and we practice it. And you unravel that you do have the confidence, that you do know your stuff. And, whenever we start working with you, I have you just talk about you because you lived it. You are there for every part of that movie. And so it's just you having a conversation, telling us, just as you would if you were at that party, hanging out with your family and friends, telling them what you did this weekend. Maybe that's how you first break the ice, is you just get comfortable saying what I did this weekend. It's not a long, drawn
Mm,
out thing, but how do you say it? If you said, well, I went bowling and it was great. Well, nobody wants to go bowling with you. I'm telling you right now. But if you say, oh my God,
yes.
I did, I went bowling and I just hit every gutter there was in that place. Then this person that I was bowling with said, hey, well, if you just did this and did, concentrated a little bit more on where you're throwing the ball and making sure that your hand is following the ball down
Moving
the
and the flick of the wrist and all those.
all of a sudden, I got absolutely better. Well, now people want
Yes.
to try bowling, and it's a simple thing, but it's really that energy you bring and forgetting about that I just gave you a lesson on bowling, but I'm just telling you about my experiences. And so, everyone, if you have to do a talk on your service, on your business, just have a conversation with them. Don't even think about that I'm trying to make a sale. Don't even think about that this is life or death, that I connect with this person. Just know that the service that you have, the product that you have is great, and they would need it if they needed it. And so it's more important for you to ask them a lot of questions in that conversation to determine what they need. And do you have what they need? And then it's easy because you get excited because, oh my God, I have this anti aging cream that is like Botox, but doesn't mess up your skin, doesn't dry your skin out, doesn't make you freaky face. Now all of a sudden people are like interested, like, Vicky, tell me about that neo filler. Tell me, tell me. Okay. Well, now it's a conversation. I'm just telling you about something that you want to hear about. And so it doesn't feel salesy. It doesn't feel weird. But until I knew that you were looking for something that would take away those lines and make you look younger looking, I would never have gone there. So I guess it's
I
just a
l-
conversation.
it's just a conversation and it's just so easy. That conversation with a little bit of curiosity can really take you so far. And
Yeah.
speaking about the curiosity, I'm very curious, Vicky. we have a little saying, a motto around here, which is what you don't change, you choose. So I'm really
Yeah.
curious. What are you choosing today?
To change?
Well,
Gosh, I change all the
to
time.
change or you can choose to stay in
To
the
not
same
do it.
place or you can be
I think it's really an important question to have because, a as I said, in 2016, I chose to be better, to
mm,
make sure that I live longer, that I'm not that grandma that sits and I loved my grandma that sat on the chair and had you sit on their lap. But I just wanted to chase after my grandsons and do things. So I chose to change, to do something different. And then when I retired from my project management job at UPS in 2018, I chose to spend a couple years enjoying life, not doing anything. But I realized that that wasn't
excellent.
the right choice for me. You look around the world and you see people need gifts that you have. And I chose to give my gifts to those, to mentor those that follow, right? And so there were times where I said a lot of yeses from 2019 to 2025, but I also said a lot of no's. And I think that's important. I work with a lot of women that are burnout and exhausted, and they're trying to be perfect. And so the first thing I say no to is the idea that you can be perfect. So don't
Mm,
be striving for that goal. Strive to be better, strive to be your best, but perfect is just a myth. The other thing is that it's okay to say no because the shining object thing doesn't always bring you the best success or the happiness that you seek. So definitely say no when it's important. It doesn't align with your core values. But say yes when you're scared, when you're
mm,
curious, because I believe that the confidence that you grow into comes from being curious and being scared. Courage is really the gateway to confidence. Say yes when you know it's going to push you because even if you fail, you're going to find that lesson from failure will make you better, make you get to best. And so again, for me, change is always happening, but you have to have that courage. You have to have that curiosity to see what's on the other side. I don't know what my next year is going to bring, but I know
yes.
that whatever it brings, I was the actor in making that happen.
I love it. I love that. Vicki, thank you so much. This whole conversation has been delicious. I'm eating it up as you're speaking. I'm like, can I have some more, please? I love it. Oh, gosh. Okay. Where can I send the people? What do you have going on? Please let us know.
The best way to connect with me is LinkedIn. It's Victoria Noethling. I also have my YouTube channel, which is, as you see on the screen, Vicki Noethling. I have all of my interviews, and Carol, I'm up to 600 and at the time this airs, probably 650 out there. But I have over 720 episodes recorded that I'm working hard to get all out there. And so my goal by next year, at the end of 26, is to have 1,000 episodes.
Goodness. Well, that is goals. That's definitely goals. We over here are moving along. We've gotten to double digits, nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. That is incredible. Congratulations. Most people give up on a podcast their first year. So the fact that you've made it to
Uh,
close to recorded over 700 episodes, that's just absolutely amazing. It really
yeah,
shows
from
that you're doing
22.
something.
It's from
Sorry, you go.
19 or it's from 2022 is when I started. So, my goal was to hit 100 that first year. And I was only going to do a
Now
couple
look at that.
podcasts. But I tell you, as I said earlier, it is the best networking. And my whole goal in this journey that I'm on now is to help as many people as I can. And so every time I meet people that can help people, then I have to share them with my audience. So people like you
I
and just to be able to
so
say,
sweet.
"Hey, I don't know if this is what you need, but I'm going to give it to you as a gift. And if you need it, great,
Yeah.
take it. But if you don't, then pass it on to someone who might."
I love that. Okay. And with that, guys, thank you so much, Vicki, for being here. Please, if you're listening, pass this on to someone who might need it if it's not for you, if you found it of value. And again, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Carol Kabale. This is the Client Code Podcast, and I will see you on the next one.